So the guy that knows more about networking than anybody I know, Mr. Tom Big Al Schreiter. Bring him on up.
Oh yeah, I'm going to dance, right. So while you're here at the Mastermind, you're going to hear a couple different viewpoints, right? And probably a couple different opinions, but there's only one opinion and one viewpoint that counts. Yours, all right? But it depends where you are in your business. Some people are totally motivated but don't know what to say and do, and some people know what to say and do and are not motivated, and you have to take a look at what you need in your life. So you can learn how to get motivated. You could probably learn exactly what you need to do, and then you could probably learn exactly how to do it. So I'm just going to talk exactly how to do it. And people say, wait a minute, why don't you talk about having a better attitude and being motivated and setting goals and being positive and all that? And I said, well, you don't really need that to be successful. I mean, you can earn lots of money and big bonus checks, have huge organizations with a lousy attitude, being totally unmotivated, being lazy. And people say, really? And I said, sure, there's proof. Look up line. So, so now that we're all awake, let me ask you this. How many people here have ever seen this in real life when you and I are out there in the field talking to people? Brand new prospect comes to the meeting, and he says, whoa, check out those products and services. Everybody in my family is going to want to buy this. Man, they're going to be a line at my house when I get home. This is an excellent opportunity. And then you tell them your compensation plan. They say, oh my goodness, unbelievable. Everybody at work will be mobbing me. They'll all be around my desk. Ah, excellent. Everybody wants to earn extra money, and they join your business, and they go home. And they talk to the relatives about their products and services, and what do the relatives say? Are you crazy? You fall on your head? Yeah, what are you smoking? We don't do those sort of things. That's a pyramid. And what happens to your new distributor? They feel so low, so lousy, they get beat up, rejected, humiliated, and they go home and they just hide underneath the sofa, grab the remote control, and they say, I'm going to watch TV for the rest of my life to avoid that hurt of rejection. Except 6 months from now, I'm going to call my sponsor and tell them that, it doesn't work. So, but they give it one more try. When they go to work the next day, they say, well, maybe, just maybe, these people want to make money and you'll be okay. So they talk to all their friends at work about making money with this terrific program, and what do their friends at work say? Are you crazy? That's a pyramid. We don't do those sort of things. I'm only 44 years away from retirement. Come on, get alive. Well, now he feels really bad. He goes home, he sets up camp underneath that sofa, and you're never going to get him out because he got beat up, rejected, humiliated, and he says, I joined a lousy opportunity, I made a bad decision, what was I thinking? How many people here have a distributor, something like that? Yeah, if you've been in the business any amount of time, we should have several of them, shouldn't we? So what can we do to prevent this from happening? Well, over the last year or so, I've been telling them a little story that seems to help a lot. When a new distributor gets started, I simply explain to them the difference between needs and wants. Now, I'm going to ask you just to sit back and enjoy. Don't bother taking any notes, because guess what? When I'm through, you're going to learn how to tell that story almost word for word. And you won't miss a thing. We'll give you the notes you need. It's really a pretty easy story, and here's how it goes. And I'd like you to ask yourself, would you have liked to have heard this story when you first started? And it goes like this. New distributor fills out the application, and we'll pick nutritionals here because there's probably more nutritional people than anybody else here. So we'll just use that for an example. They fill out the application, say, I'm going to sell all these vitamins to my family and all this. And I tell the distributor, there is a huge difference between needs and wants. How many people would agree with that? People need things but don't want them. And I tell them, everybody needs to visit the dentist every 6 months. But do they want to? No. We all need to get up an hour early every morning and exercise, but do we want to? No. We all need to diet and eat healthy foods, but do we want to? No. We all need to pay taxes, but do we want to? No. So it's perfectly normal for people to need things but don't want them. Yeah. And when you get home, you're going to find out that your family is perfectly normal. When you get home, you'll be talking to your aunt, and your aunt says, my ankle hurts, my hip hurts, my shoulder hurts, my neck hurts. I have 5 known diseases, 4 unknown diseases, 3 they haven't discovered yet. I have acid reflux, that's a disease right now. And at some point you'll say, do you want to do something about it? And she says, no. Then I wouldn't have anything to talk about. My children love me more when I pretend to be sick. Seeing the doctor's a social visit. Open the prescription jars is aerobic exercise. No, I don't want to feel well. Well, your aunt needs the product, but she doesn't want it. And that's perfectly normal. And when you go to work the next day, you're thinking, well, maybe I'll talk to some of my coworkers. And you mention to them about the opportunity because they're saying things like this. You know, my daughter needs braces. The car broke down. I'm behind on my MasterCard and Visa. I'm 2 mortgage payments behind. The boss won't give me a raise, and you're going to say, would you like to do something about it? And what are they going to say? No! Those are pyramids. I don't know anybody. I don't even know you. Back off. You know, somebody in China lost money once, 44 years away from retirement. Well, these people need the opportunity. They need the extra money, but they don't want it. And that's perfectly normal. You see, your business is only with the people that want it. It's like owning a restaurant. What's the best restaurant in your city? And they'll say, oh, Houston's restaurant. I says, well, does everybody need to try the ribs at Houston? Oh, yeah, they're really, really good. But do they all want to? No, but 99% of the people don't go to Houston's restaurant. And why not? Well, it's too far, too hard to park, too expensive, the portions aren't big enough, I don't like that kind of food, the waiter was rude to me once, they wore the wrong type of uniforms, I cut my finger on the menu. For whatever reason, 99% of the people in Houston don't want to go to Houston's restaurant. But do they have a good business with the 1% that want to? Absolutely. You see, Houston's knows that their business is only with the people that want to. You don't see their waiters out on the street with menus rapping people on the wrist saying, hey, we have an opportunity meeting about the entrees. Hey, here's a videotape about our desserts. Hey, conference call about the appetizers. No. Hey, you see, they understand their business is only with the people that want to come there. So I tell the distributor, just imagine you had a job trying to find people named Bob. Some of you come up to me and say, hey, Big Al, what's your name? Big Al? Well, don't you want to be a Bob? It'd be easier for me if you're a Bob. You kind of look like a Bob. Do you feel like a Bob? Here's a form to change your name to Bob. Can't you please be a Bob? Would you do that? No. You'd simply go to somebody else and see if their name was Bob. Or if you're smart, you might say, well, by the way, do you know anybody named Bob? I said, yeah, both my brothers are named Bob. So it's just like trying to find the Bobs in this world. So remember that most people need our products, need our opportunity, but they don't want to, and that's perfectly normal. Your business is only with the people that want to. How many people here would have liked to have heard that story when you first got started? To help insulate you from all the trash talk your relatives are going to give you. Now think about it. Everybody needs your product, but they don't all want them. So should we learn to tell the story? Because we tell it once, the first time is a little bit hard, and we're going to do that right here. So when we go home or pick up the phone later on tonight, we can tell the story. It's going to be easy. So if you have a pencil and paper, grab it. Let's start off by writing the first thing is needs versus wants. Below that, write the word dentist. Below that, write the word exercise. Below that, write the word diet. Below that, write the word taxes. We all got it? So let's see how this little part sounds. I would say there's a huge difference between needs and wants. Everybody needs to visit the dentist how often? About every 6 months. Do we want to? No. We all need to get up an hour early and exercise every morning, but do we want to? No. We all need to diet and eat healthy food, stay away from pizza, ice cream, Mexican food, and all the other basic good food groups, but do we want to? No. We all need to pay taxes, but do we want to? No. And it's perfectly normal for people to need things and don't want them. That's a pretty easy section, isn't it? Now, before anybody here starts making judgment about your prospects, let me talk to you. We're human too, right? Some of us are even normal. But we need to do things and we don't want to. So before we say our prospects are stupid, let me give you an example about us. How many people here would agree that we probably all need to get up an hour earlier every morning, maybe around 5 a.m., and go out and jog and exercise? I mean, yeah, we need to, right? But do we want to? No. So imagine I was an exercise distributor, and I call you up one morning, let's say tomorrow morning around 5 a.m., I said, hey, let's go jogging. What are you going to say on the phone? You're perfectly normal, aren't you? But that doesn't bother me because I listen to motivational tape. I have prosperous thinking. I have a great attitude. And I'm going to call you tomorrow morning and say, hey, let's go jogging. What are you going to say? Oh. Well, the next day I corner you at work. And I bring along my sponsor. And we start talking to you about jogging. How do you feel about that? And the next day at work, I ask you for some money so you can subscribe to a jogging magazine. How do you feel about that? And every morning I call you up and ask you to go jogging with me. Really, you need to, but what? You don't want to. So before we make fun of our relatives for using expensive long distance or crummy skincare or not taking any nutrition, let's remember about us at 5 a.m. in the morning. We're perfectly normal also. We need things, we just don't want them. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do. How many people here are sitting next to somebody that will still talk to you? All right? Here's what I'm going to ask you to do. One person is going to pretend to become the new distributor, and they're going to say, here's all my money. And you're going to say, let me tell you the difference between needs and wants. Everybody needs to visit the dentist, exercise, diet, taxes. And then tell them this. It's perfectly normal to need things but don't want them. Just that little section. You all ready? Somebody grab your partner and say, here's all my money, let me be a distributor, and let's go from there. Let's begin. Okay. How do we do? Everybody got the nose down, right? Well, this whole story is only in 5 little sections. Here's section number 2. Are you all ready? By the way, how many people were able to handle section 1? All right, it gets easier. All right, here's section 2. We're going to tell the new distributor what's going to happen when they get home and they present their product or service. Later on, we're going to tell them when they talk about their opportunity. But right now, the product or service. Now, it's going to sound different for everybody here depending on the type of program you're with. For instance, if you sold long-distance telephone service, you'd say to the distributor, well, when you get home, here's what happens. Your uncle's next to you, and your uncle says, man, I just got ripped off by the phone company. I mean, Bell Telephone, they just make me so mad. They double charged me. I picked up the phone. I tried to call them. All I got was voicemail. You think the phone company at least answer their own phone, but no, I can't get a hold of anybody. And finally you say, well, would you like to do something about it? And he says, no. Man, my father was ripped off by Southwestern Bell. My grandfather was ripped off by Southwestern Bell. I want to be ripped off just like them. And you say, well, your uncle needs to have cheaper long-distance service, but doesn't want it. And your business is only with the people that want it. If you sold skincare, it would sound something like this. You would say, when you get home, your aunt is saying, oh, man, I have flaky skin over here, and then it's kind of dry over here, oily here, and I have wrinkles so deep I can store food in it. And at some point, you're going to say, would you like to do something about it? And she says, no. Oh, I like that greasy skin. Makes the hat slip on my head so much better. And those wrinkles make me look sophisticated. And I only use Estee Lauder. And, she needs it but doesn't want it. And your business is only with the people that want it. If you sold nutritional products, you go home and your aunt says, I have headaches, backaches, knee aches, hip aches, arthritis, pneumonia. I have meningitis. I have 5 known diseases, 4 unknown diseases, 3 they haven't discovered yet. At some point, you're going to say, would you like to do something about it? And what does she say? No! My children love me more when I pretend to be sick. If I feel better, I won't have anything to talk about. I like visiting the doctor. Your aunt needs it but doesn't want it. And your business is only with the people that want it. So I don't know what your product or service is, but I'm sure you can describe a scenario when your new distributor comes home and listens to somebody that desperately needs it but doesn't want it, right? So let's grab our partner right now. And we're going to say to your partner, when you get home, here's what's going to happen. Everybody ready? Let's begin. Okay, how'd that go? What, good? How many people could handle that one all right? It gets easier. Here's the next section. We're going to tell them what happens when they go to work. When they go to work, they're going to have a coworker say, my daughter needs braces, the car broke down, I can't pay for my MasterCard and Visa, the boss won't give me a raise. And at some point they're going to say what? Would you like to do something about it? And what is the coworker going to say? No, I'm only 44 years away from retirement. I enjoy the commute back and forth, beating up my car, and I know I don't get paid much, but it builds character. And somebody in China lost money once, it's a pyramid, we don't do these sort of things, I don't know anybody, and what? Here's somebody that desperately needs the extra money but doesn't want it. And your business is only with the people that want it. You all ready? Let's grab our partner and tell them what's going to happen at work. You're going to say, when you go to work, one of your coworkers is going to be whining and complaining with this. Let's begin. Okay, how'd that go? How many people found that pretty easy? Because when you go to work, isn't that what happens? People say, somebody in China lost money once, I'm a full-time loser, nothing works for me, I can't do anything. Does that sound a little bit familiar in our lives? Absolutely. So let's move on to part number 4. And all you have to remember is the word restaurant. So we're going to ask them, what's your favorite restaurant? And they're going to say what? Houston's. We're recommending and promoting, not getting paid for it, aren't we? Yeah. So it's not too far down the road, but if you go to Houston's, you can eat ribs with a spoon. They're really that good. I'm told I'm vegetarian. But let's talk about Houston's restaurant. Everybody in Houston needs to try their food at least once. But do they all want to? No. And why don't they want to go to Houston's to eat? Why not? Too much money. Yeah, too far. Yeah. I'm a vegetarian. You can't eat it with chopsticks. I don't like to get my finger on the menu. The person was rude at the front door. People think I'm snobs if I go there. And you know what? 99% of the people don't go there. But their business is only with the 1% that do. And do they have a good business? They have a terrific business. And their business is only with the people that want to. Well, I bet you have a favorite restaurant in your town, don't you? So let's grab our partner. And you're going to say to your partner, what's your favorite restaurant? And then tell them the restaurant story. Everybody ready? Let's begin. Okay, how'd that go? Everybody have the restaurant story? Here's the last little bit. And all you need for this is to write down the word Bob. Easy to spell forward and backwards. Everybody got it? So we're going to say, imagine you had a job just looking for people named Bob, and you came up to me and say, hey, Big Al, what's your name? And I said, Big Al. And you say, well, don't you want to be a Bob? It'd be easier for me if you were Bob. You kind of look like a Bob. You feel like a Bob? Here's some forms to change your name to Bob. We can go to a Change Your Name Bob seminar. Would you do that? No. You'd simply look for somebody else named Bob. Or if you're really smart, you might say, by the way, do you know anybody named Bob? And I might say, yeah. Both my brothers are named Bob, right? Because your business is only with the people named Bob. Guess whose turn it is? You're going to grab your partner and say, imagine you had a business where all you had to do was find people whose name was Bob. Everybody ready? Let's grab our partners. Let's begin. Okay, how'd we do? Now let me ask you this. Do you think that would be an important story for every new distributor? Because it would help insulate them from what's going to happen where people are saying no that shouldn't. So when somebody says no, instead of them saying, oh man, it's a terrible business, let me go hide underneath the sofa, I made a bad decision, they'll be thinking, oh, that's perfectly normal. And I don't jog at 5 in the morning either, right? So we're just insulating them from what's going to happen so they understand that not everybody that needs it is going to want it. And that their business is only with the people that want it. If you don't teach them this, they will send you to a whole bunch of people that would be terrific in your business, but don't want to do it. How many people have experienced that? You know, they call you up and say, oh, I have this famous athlete, he's an uncle, and he's the mayor of the town, and also a lawyer, he knows everybody. He'd be terrific in the business. I've talked to him already. He hates it. He doesn't want to do it at all, but you could talk to him. You've been there, haven't you? So if they start doing that, they don't understand the lesson of needs versus wants. So you might have to reinforce it with a little short story about President Bush. So let me tell you about President Bush. President Bush would be awesome in this business. I mean, he would say, hey, opportunity meeting, 7:30 at the White House Tuesday night. Want to keep your government job? Be there. So they'd all come in, and he'd just pass out forms. They'd all sign up, have a huge group. But does he want to? No. Now, he needs to. I mean, he's going to be out of work in a couple of years, right? But he doesn't want to. Apparently, he does something else. Nobody knows what. But he does something else, and that's what he wants to do. So how many people here think needs and wants could drastically change how your new distributor looks at the business? They'll spend their time only looking for the people that want to. And people say, well, that's pretty easy, but how do I get them to find some more people that want to? Because they're kind of shy, don't know what to say to people. How do they break the ice? You know, how do you talk about your business? Let me give you 2 quick icebreaker techniques that you can use right away. You're at a party and you're thinking, so how am I going to bring up the subject of my business? Right? Yeah, they're talking away and say, yeah, weather's been pretty nice today. And you say, have you ever considered the amount of antioxidants you have in your bloodstream? Well, we know the problem, right? How do we start conversations about our business? We don't want to sound like a salesman. We only want to talk to the people that are interested so we have a good experience instead of those people that are not interested, you know, the people that need it but don't want to. How are we going to do this? So here's just one of hundreds of different icebreaker techniques. I'd like you to write down these magic words. Would you like to do something about it? Now, in order for this technique to work, you're going to have to find large, huge groups of negative people. How many people here can find large, huge groups of negative people? All right. In Texas, we call them family and coworkers and friends. So I encourage you, new distributor, to find groups of negative people. They say, I can do that. And I say, just stand around and say, would you like to do something about it? And somebody next to you, they're saying, man, you know, my back aches, my head aches, I have nasal run, and I cough a lot, and I wake up not feeling well rested. And I say, just tell them, would you like to do something about it? And if you ask them that question, they have 2 possible answers. What are they? Yes or no. Now, if they say yes, Ka-ching! You're in. It's done, right? It doesn't get any easier than that. But what's the other possible answer? No, right? But they never tell you no. They always say it in code. All right? Here's how no sounds for that. I'm under doctor's care. That means no. It runs in the family. That means no. I'd have to drop out of the whining and being sick club. That means no. And get over it. Your business is only with the people that want it. So you're standing around at work and somebody at work says, man, I haven't had a raise in 13 years. A person next to me clips their toenails at work. My car's getting beat up. The boss doesn't like me. And at some point, you're going to say what? I'd like to do something about it. If they say yes, ka-ching, you're in. It doesn't get any easier than that. It's hard to mess it up. And how does no sound? Ooh, somebody in China lost money once. I'm a full-time loser. Nothing ever worked for me. These are only for people that have talent. All my friends would leave me if I earned too much money. Oh, my tax rate would go way up. I wouldn't know what to do with that, Yeah, they all mean no. And this is completely rejection-free. Just anywhere in the conversation say, would you like to do something about it? And if that's too strong, you could always rephrase it to say, have you ever considered doing something about it? You're visiting your aunt and she says, oh man, I have oily skin and dry skin and patchy skin and eczema over here and wrinkles so deep that, store food in it. And you could say, have you ever considered doing something about it? What are the two possible answers? If she says yes, ka-ching. If she says no, how does that sound? Oh, I like seeing blood when I scratch the eczema. Oh, I like the oily thing on my head so my head slips on and off. And that all means no. Get over it. Your business is only with the people that want to. So let's give this a try. I'd like you to grab your partner right now. I'd like your partner to whine, complain, or wherever you call it where you live, all right? Whine and complain, and at some point when they take a breath, just sneak in, would you like to do something about it? Or have you ever considered doing something about it? Just listen to the answer. If they say yes, ka-ching. If they say no in code, that's okay. Your business is only with the people that want to. Everybody ready? Find a complaining partner. Let's begin. Okay, how'd we do? Ka-ching, all right. How many people here think you're going to find some negative people over the weekend? Yeah, they're going to be everywhere. So ask them, would you like to do something about it? Now, I know what you're thinking. You say, well, that works in Houston, of course, but it doesn't work where I live because, where I live, everybody is positive. All my friends are positive. My coworkers are positive. You stand around the coffee machine at work and they're saying things like, whoa, they paid me too much again. Oh, they don't take enough money out in taxes. Wish I could pay more. Oh, my life is perfect. My family life is perfect. Everything is wonderful. And all your friends are positive. So you can use this. If you can't, that's okay, because you'll learn another technique, which is called how to induce negativity. Okay. Now, you can induce negativity instantly on demand by asking them one simple question. And here it is in case you're writing them down. The question is, what are your two biggest, then leave a blank space, problems? So somebody is saying things like, oh, life is wonderful. I'm drinking light beer, not gaining a pound. Everything is wonderful in my life. And you might say, so what are your two biggest skincare problems? And they might say, well, I have oily skin over here, patchy skin here, the eczema here, it's kind of streaky right here. Just stop at 2. And then you're going to say what? Would you like to do something about it? Yeah. Or if you sold nutritional products, somebody's, just talking at the party, got this car, this team won the basketball, and you ask them, so what are your two biggest health problems? Now, if you ask them that, they say, whoa, take a chair. You've made a friend for life, haven't you? They're going to love you. They say, please have a seat. Let me get started with book one. And they're going to say, I have high blood pressure, low pressure, hypoglycemic. I have scratchy, itchy skin here. I'm sure most of my organs are dying. I see the doctor 4, 5, 6 times a week. And at some point, you're going to say, what? We'd like to do something about it. Oh. And you're business only with the people that want to. And so you're at the party, and you're visiting somebody, and they're a little bit large. You could say, so what are your 2 biggest diet problems? Well, once you duck really quick, they'll say, well, I have a problem with food. I like Mexican food, 4 basic food groups, fat, grease, lard, salt. And it seems I've been eating donuts, and even with those donut holes in there, I still gain weight. I just don't understand how this works. And at which point you're going to say, would you like to do something about it? So learn to ask people your 2 biggest career problems, 2 biggest job problems, 2 biggest commuting problems, 2 biggest legal problems, 2 biggest skincare problems. Ask them what their 2 biggest blank problems are, and you can instantly induce negativity. They have a prospect instantly on demand. So let's give this a whirl. I'd like you to grab your partner right now and ask your partner, what are your 2 biggest problems, whatever you decide. Everybody ready? Grab your partner. Let's begin. Okay, how'd we all do? Ka-ching, right? So let's review. If you're going to find somebody to be a prospect, you can create it instantly on demand by just asking questions like, would you like to do something about it? Or if they're super positive, you can make them instantly negative by asking them, what are your 2 biggest blank problems? Get them started. And then when they get started, tell them this great story about needs versus wants. So now you have distributors out there looking for people who want to do it. And their presentation experiences will be a lot different. Now, here's what I'm going to ask you all to do. Y'all been sitting here for a while. I'd like y'all to probably stand up because you're tired of sitting for a moment. So that's unsit. All right? So y'all standing up? Now, we're not going to scratch each other's backs because engineers, we don't do those sort of things. But we're going to do this because I know you're thinking, wow, this is great at parties, and maybe even I could say this to a cold lead over the phone, but I would like to know more about how to talk to leads. Maybe I don't talk to leads personally myself, but a lot of my downlines say, woo, why talk to relatives and friends when I can talk to strangers? Yes. So how many people here think it might be a good idea to learn a few skills about people who talk to leads so they can be more successful, right? So at this time, what we're going to do is bring up a pro on leads. And he's been doing leads for a long time.